The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's sky like a dark mountain floating among the clouds. Its surface gleamed with strange metals that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. The ship was bigger than any human city and cast shadows across entire countenance as it slowly moved through the atmosphere. Admiral Kung. Deho stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Station looking up at the enormous vessel through the reinforced glass windows. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped the metal railing tightly. Behind him, dozens of officers watched their instruments with growing fear as more alien ships appeared in the distance. The communication system crackled to life with a voice that sounded like grinding stone mixed with the screech of metal. The universal translator worked hard to convert the alien words into human language, but the meaning was clear enough. Humans of the third planet, you will listen to the words of the Galactic Council. Your species has been observed and judged. You are primitive, you are weak, you are not worthy of the stars. The voice paused, and the silence felt heavy in the command center. Every person present knew this moment would change everything for humanity. Captain Lee Minho stepped forward from his position at the navigation console. His young face was pale but determined. Admiral, the long-range sensors are picking up more ships. Hundreds of them. They are forming a blockade around our entire solar system. Admiral Kang nodded slowly. It expected this day would come eventually. Humanity had been exploring space for barely 200 years, while these aliens had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. The difference in their technology was like comparing a wooden club to a laser cannon. The alien voice continued speaking, and its words made every human in the command center feel cold inside. You have built weapons. You have claimed territory that does not belong to you. You have spread your kind to planets without permission from the Council. These crimes cannot be ignored. Dr. Park Hygiene entered the command center carrying a tablet computer filled with data. Her scientific mind was already working on the problem, even though her hands shook slightly with nervousness. She had spent her entire career studying physics, an alien technology, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. The energy readings from their ships are incredible, she whispered to Admiral Kong. Each one of those vessels has more firepower than our entire fleet combined. The alien voice grew louder and more threatening. The Galactic Council has decided your fate. You have 72 hours to surrender all military vessels and weapons. Your leaders will travel to the Council homeworld to accept permanent vassalage. Your species will serve the Council for all time. Commander Nam Subin looked up from her intelligence console with worry written across her face. She had studied alien civilizations for years and knew what vassalage meant. Humanity would become slaves. Their children would be born into servitude. Earth would become nothing more than a factory world producing goods for their alien masters. It happens if we refuse, Admiral Kang asked in a clear voice that carried across the communication system. The alien laughter sounded like breaking glass. Refuse? No species has ever refused the Council. Look around you, human. Count your ships. Count your weapons. We have destroyed civilizations that were 10 times more advanced than yours. Your primitive rockets and metal bullets are toys compared to our plasma cannons and quantum bombs. Through the windows, they could see more alien ships appearing in the sky. Each one was different, in design showing that many different species served the Council. Some ships looked like living creatures with flowing tentacles. Others were geometric shapes that hurt to look at directly. All of them bristled with weapons that could turn Earth into a ball of molten rock. Your 72 hours begin now, the alien voice announced. Use this time wisely. Prepare your surrender. Gather your leaders. Make peace with your gods, because the age of independent humanity is over. The communication ended, and the command center fell silent, except for the humming of computers and the distant sound of air recycling systems. Everyone stared at the alien ships hanging in the sky like deadly storm clouds. Captain Lee Minho broke the silence first. Admiral, what are your orders? Should we contact the Earth government? Should we prepare our fleets for battle? Admiral Kang turned away from the window and faced his officers. His eyes held a secret that none of them could guess. For 50 years, he had been preparing for this exact moment. While the rest of humanity had been building conventional spaceships and weapons, he had been working on something completely different. Commander Nam, I need you to send a coded message to Dr. Park's research team. Tell them it is time to activate Project Ghostwalker." Dr. Park looked confused. "Admiral, I don't understand. What is Project Ghostwalker? I thought my team was just working on theoretical physics research." A small smile appeared on Admiral Kong's face for the first time since the aliens had arrived. "Dr. Park, you and your team have been working on the most important project in human history. Just didn't know it yet." He walked to his private communication console and entered a series of codes that had been classified at the highest levels of government. The screen flickered and showed a star map with dozens of red dots scattered throughout the outer solar system. Those red dots represent asteroid bases that have been under construction for 5 decades. Each base contains something that will surprise our alien visitors very much. Commander Nam leaned forward to get a better look at the display. "What kind of bases, Admiral? What have you been building out there?" Ship's Admiral Kang replied simply. "But not the kind of ships the aliens are expecting. These vessels use technology that even the Galactic Council has never seen before. They are built from dark matter itself. They can phase in and out of normal space at will. They are invisible to conventional sensors, and their weapons can pass through any known shield or armor." The officer stared at him in amazement. Captain Lee Minho found his voice first.
How many ships?
"How many ships, Admiral? How many do we have?" 50 warships each, the size of a small moon, but weighing almost nothing in normal space. They have been waiting in the quantum foam for this day. The aliens think they are facing a primitive species with a few hundred conventional vessels. They have no idea what humanity has really been building. Admiral Kang turned back to look at the alien ships through the window. His expression was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. "Send word to all our hidden bases. Tell them the 72-hour countdown has begun, but we will not be surrendering. We will be preparing to show the Galactic Council what happens. When they threaten humanity." The command center erupted into activity as officers began sending coded messages to secret bases throughout the solar system. For the first time since the aliens had arrived, the humans began to smile. The Galactic Council thought they were dealing with a weak and primitive species. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. Deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, a massive rock slowly began to split apart. The asteroid had been hollowed out decades ago and turned into something that looked like a natural space rock from the outside. But inside it contained technology that would have amazed even the most advanced species in the galaxy. Engineer Cho Woo-jin watched from the control room as the asteroid opened like a flower blooming in space. His hands moved across holographic displays that showed the status of systems that had been waiting in standby mode for 50 years. Every circuit had been tested thousands of times. Every component had been built to perfection. "Base 7 is ready for launch," he reported into his communication headset. "Now, all dark matter containment fields are stable. The quantum drive is online and ready for phase transition." In the center of the hollow asteroid, something incredible was taking shape. At first, it looked like empty space filled with strange lights that flickered and danced. But as the containment fields adjusted, the lights began to form solid shapes. A massive warship slowly materialized from what had appeared to be nothing. The ship was beautiful in a way that defied description. Its hull seemed to be made of crystallized darkness that absorbed light and reflected it back in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The surface rippled like liquid metal, but held its shape perfectly. Energy flowed through channels carved into the hull, creating patterns that looked like veins of pure starlight. Lieutenant Hansora sat at the communication console watching. As more bases throughout the solar system began to report their status, her screen showed a map of the entire outer solar system with dozens of points of light appearing as the hidden bases came online. Base 12 is opening. Base 15 is ready. Base 23 reports full power to dark matter systems, she announced. Each report brought more hope that humanity might actually survive the next few days. The warship in Base 7 was now fully materialized and ready for launch. Its name was etched along the side in characters that seemed to shift and change as the dark matter hull phased in and out of normal space. The Soul's Pride was the first of humanity's secret fleet to fully activate. Captain. Lee Minho had been transported to the base 6 hours ago by a high-speed courier ship. Now he stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride looking out at stars, through windows that showed space in ways normal eyes could never see. The dark matter sensors could detect gravitational waves and quantum fluctuations that revealed the hidden structure of the universe itself. "Captain, all systems are ready," reported the ship's navigation officer. "The quantum drive is stable and we can phase into normal space at any time." Lee Minho nodded and activated the ship's main communication system. "Admiral Kang, this is Captain Lee, reporting from the Soul's Pride. We are ready to begin operations." Admiral Kang's voice came through the speakers with barely contained excitement. "Excellent, Captain. Dr. Park has just arrived at Base 1 to oversee the activation of our flagship. How do the ship's systems feel?"
Like nothing I've ever experienced.
"Admiral, the ship responds to thought almost as much as to physical controls. It is as if the vessel is alive and waiting for orders." This was not far from the truth. The dark matter that formed the hull of each ship existed in a state between matter and energy. It could think in ways that normal matter could not. Ship had developed its own personality over the decades of waiting in the quantum. Dr. Park Haijin stood in the command center of Base 1, watching as the largest of the hidden ships began to materialize. The Ancient's Fury was twice the size of the Soul's Pride and contained weapons that could tear holes in space itself. She had spent 20 years of her life developing the theories that made these ships possible, but seeing them in reality still filled her with wonder. "The quantum field generators are working perfectly," she reported to Admiral Kang. "Each ship exists in a state of controlled quantum superposition. They can choose to interact with normal matter or phase right through it. Their weapons fire exotic matter projectiles that ignore conventional physics." The process of activating all 50 ships took 12 hours. One by one, the hidden bases throughout the solar system reported successful launches. Each ship was different in design, but all shared the same basic technology. They could become invisible to any known sensor, could fly through solid matter like ghosts, and they carried weapons that could destroy targets by unmaking them. At the quantum-level engineer Cho Woo-jin had been transferred to the flagship Ancient's Fury and was now working with Dr. Park to coordinate the fleet. His engineering expertise combined with her theoretical knowledge created a perfect team for managing the exotic technology. "All ships are now in formation," he announced. "They are holding position in the quantum foam just outside normal space. The Galactic Council's sensors cannot detect them. The alien fleet hanging over Earth had no idea what was happening there. Instruments showed only the conventional human ships that had been visible for decades. A few hundred vessels with primitive nuclear weapons and simple metal hulls. Nothing that could threaten the mighty Galactic Council. But in the hidden dimensions of space, 50 massive warships waited like predators ready to strike. Each ship was crewed by humans who had trained for this moment their entire lives. They had studied alien technology and tactics until they knew their enemies better than the aliens knew themselves." Lieutenant Han Sora was monitoring alien communications. From her position aboard the Soul's Pride, the intercepted messages showed that the Council was growing impatient. They had expected humanity to surrender within hours of seeing their overwhelming force. "Captain, the alien fleet is beginning to move into attack position," she reported. "Their commanders are discussing whether to begin bombardment early too. Send a message to other species." Captain Lee Minho studied the tactical display that showed both the visible alien fleet and the hidden human ships. The dark matter vessels could strike from any angle and retreat into the quantum foam before the aliens could respond. It would be like fighting an enemy that could walk through walls and disappear at will. "Send word to Admiral Kang," he ordered. "Tell him the Council's 72-hour deadline may be ending early. We need to be ready to reveal ourselves." Throughout the solar system, the hidden fleet waited in perfect silence. Each ship was a masterpiece of technology that combined human ingenuity with the fundamental forces of the universe. It represented 50 years of secret research and the hopes of an entire species. The Galactic Council thought they were dealing with a primitive civilization that had stumbled into space travel. They believed their overwhelming technological advantage would force humanity to surrender without a fight. They had no idea that while they had been ruling the galaxy through fear and force, humanity had been quietly developing weapons that could challenge the very foundations of physics. The countdown to war had begun, and humanity was finally ready to show the galaxy what they had really been building in the darkness between the stars. The first alien plasma beam struck the mining colony on New Jeju at exactly 1400 hours Earth time. The energy weapon hit the main settlement with the force of a small nuclear bomb. Buildings that had taken decades to build vanished in seconds. The protective dome that kept the atmosphere inside cracked like an eggshell, and deadly space rushed in. Colonel Kim Tae-soon was in the underground command bunker when the attack began. His communication system lit up with emergency signals from across the colony. 50,000 people lived and worked on New Jeju. Most of them were families who had come to mine the rare metals that Earth needed for advanced technology. All civilian areas are under attack, reported his communications officer. The aliens are targeting population centers first. They want to cause maximum casualties. Through the reinforced windows of the bunker, Kim could see the alien ships hovering over the colony like giant birds of prey. Their hulls gleamed with alien metals and their weapons charged with energy that made the air itself glow. These were not the massive capital ships that threatened Earth. These were smaller attack vessels, designed to destroy ground targets. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the alien fleet," announced Lieutenant Park Ji-won from her position at the communication console. "They are demanding immediate surrender." Kim activated the main communication system. The alien voice that came through the speakers was different from the one that had spoken to Earth. This voice was eager and excited, like a predator about to feed. "Humans of the mining world, you have seen what happens to those who defy the Council. Your main settlement is destroyed. Your people are dead. Surrender now, and we will spare the survivors." Kim looked at the tactical display that showed the true horror of the situation. The main settlement was gone. The agricultural domes were burning. The orbital station that connected the colony to the rest of human space had been cut in half by plasma beams. But worst of all were the casualty reports. 30,000 people had died in the first 10 minutes of the attack. "This is Colonel Kim Tae-soon, commander of New Jeju Defense Forces. We will never surrender to alien invaders. Come down and face us if you dare." The alien laughter that came through the speakers was filled with cruel amusement. Brave words from a dead man. "Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships. Watch as we finish what we started." More plasma beams lanced down from the alien ships. Each beam was precisely aimed to cause maximum destruction. The aliens were not just conquering the colony, they were making an example of it. Every other human world would see what happened to New Jeju and choose surrender rather than resistance. But unknown to the aliens, something else was watching the battle. High above the planet in the quantum foam, the dark matter ship Bison's Wrath observed every detail of the attack. Captain Yoon Jae-hyun stood on the bridge of his vessel watching the slaughter with growing anger. "Captain, we are receiving urgent communications from Earth," reported his tactical officer. "Admiral Kong is asking for immediate status reports from all ships." Yoon activated the quantum communication system that allowed instant contact across any distance. "Admiral, this is Captain Yoon reporting from New Jeju. The aliens have begun their attack early. They're slaughtering civilians." Admiral Kong's voice came through the speakers filled with cold fury. "How many casualties, Captain?" 1,000 dead in the first wave, Admiral. The aliens are broadcasting the attack to intimidate other human colonies. They want to show the galaxy what happens when someone resists the Council." There was a long pause before Admiral Kong responded. When he spoke, his voice was deadly calm. "Captain, you are authorized to engage the enemy. Show them what happens." When someone attacks humanity, Yoon felt a surge of satisfaction run through him. He'd been waiting 50 years for this moment. "Understood, Admiral. Beginning phase transition now." The Bison's Wrath began to materialize in normal space directly. Above the alien attack fleet, the ship's hull rippled as it shifted from quantum foam into reality. Dark matter that had been invisible to all sensors suddenly became a solid object the size of a small moon. On the surface of New Jeju, Colonel Kim watched in amazement as something impossible appeared in the sky. The object was bigger than the The largest alien ship, but it seemed to be made of crystallized darkness. Energy flowed through channels carved into its hull, creating patterns that looked like veins of pure starlight. "Sir, what is that thing?" asked Lieutenant Park, as she stared at the massive vessel through the bunker's observation window. "I think it's one of ours," Kim replied with growing hope. "I think the cavalry has finally arrived." The alien ships detected the gravitational anomaly created by the dark matter vessel, but their sensors could not lock onto it properly. The ship existed in a state between matter and energy that their instruments had never been designed to handle. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself," demanded the alien commander. "You are interfering with a legitimate council operation." Captain Yoon's response was broadcast on all frequencies so that every ship in the system could hear it. "This is Captain Yoon of the Earth Defense Ship, Bizon's Wrath. You have attacked human civilians. You have committed acts of war against a peaceful species. Prepare to face the consequences." The alien commander's laughter was filled with contempt. "One ship against our entire fleet? You humans are even more foolish than we believed. Destroy that vessel." 20 alien ships turned their weapons toward the Bizon's Wrath and fired everything they had. Plasma beams and quantum torpedoes streaked through space toward the dark matter vessel. But something incredible happened. The weapons passed right through the ship without causing any damage at all. "Possible," screamed the alien commander. "Our weapons are not affecting the target. What kind of technology is this?" Captain Yoon smiled as he gave the order his crew had been waiting decades to hear. "All weapon systems online. Target the alien fleet. Show them what dark matter can do." The Bizon's Wrath opened fire with weapons that had never been used in battle before. Exotic matter projectiles launched from the ship's main guns. Unlike normal weapons, these projectiles could choose whether to interact with matter or pass through it. They phased through the alien ship's energy shields, as if the shields did not exist. The exotic matter struck the hulls of the alien vessels and began to break apart their atomic structure. Metal that had been forged in the hearts of stars simply ceased to exist. The alien ships did not explode. They just quietly faded away as their matter was converted back into energy. "Impossible," the alien commander screamed again. "No weapon can penetrate our shields. No technology can do this." But the evidence was right in front of them. 3 alien ships had already vanished completely. Their crews had not even had time to scream before they were converted to quantum energy and scattered. Across space, Captain Yoon's voice was calm and professional as he addressed the surviving alien ships. "You have 10 seconds to withdraw from this system. If you remain, we will consider you enemy combatants and act accordingly." The alien fleet began to retreat immediately. Their commanders had never seen technology like this before. Ships that could phase through matter. Weapons that ignored all known defenses. Energy readings that broke every law of physics they understood. On the surface of New Jeju, Colonel Kim watched as the alien fleet fled in panic. The massive dark matter ship remained in orbit, like a guardian angel protecting what was left of the colony. For the first time since the attack began, he allowed himself to hope that humanity might actually survive this war. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel," reported Lieutenant Park. "Put it through," Kim ordered. Captain Yoon's voice filled the bunker with quiet confidence. "Colonel, this is Captain Yoon of the Bizon's Wrath. Medical ships are on their way to assist with casualties. The alien fleet has been driven off, but they will likely return with reinforcements." Kim stared at the massive ship in wonder. "Captain, I have never seen anything like your vessel. What kind of technology are you using?" "The kind that will ensure humanity never kneels before alien masters," Yoon replied. "The kind that will teach the Galactic Council to fear the name of Earth." As news of the battle spread throughout the galaxy, both human and alien civilizations began to realize that everything was about to change. The Council's fleet had been defeated by a single human ship using technology that seemed to violate the fundamental laws of physics. The Age of Council. Dominance was ending, and the Age of Humanity had begun. The Council's emergency war meeting took place aboard their flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Supreme Chancellor Vexstar stood at the center of the command chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing the disaster at New Jeju. His crystalline, body pulsed with angry red light as he watched the recordings of human ships that could phase through matter. "Explain to me how a single human vessel destroyed 3 of our attack cruisers," he demanded from his fleet commanders. "Explain how their weapons passed through our shields as if they were made of empty space." Fleet Admiral Zexon stepped forward. His insect-like features showed the nervousness that all Council species felt when facing their Supreme Chancellor's anger.
Wow.
The human technology appears to manipulate matter at the quantum level. Their weapons exist in a state between energy and solid matter. Our shields are designed to stop conventional attacks, but these weapons ignore the fundamental laws of physics. Vexstar's crystalline form grew brighter with fury.
Ow.
There are no weapons that can ignore physics. There are no ships that can phase through solid matter. Find me an explanation that makes sense. But before anyone could answer, new alerts began flashing across every display in the command chamber. The sensor operators were reporting impossible readings from multiple locations throughout the Council's fleet formation. "Sir, we have gravitational anomalies appearing throughout the fleet," reported the chief sensor operator. "Similar to what we detected at New Jeju, but much stronger. Multiple contacts materializing from empty space. Through the massive viewing windows of the Eternal Dominion, they could see the impossible sight of human warships appearing from nothing. The dark matter vessels phased into normal space in perfect formation around the Council fleet. Each ship was massive and beautiful in a way that hurt to look at directly. The Soul's Pride materialized directly above the Eternal Dominion. Captain Lee Minho stood on his bridge looking down at the alien flagship through sensors that could see through solid matter. The Council's ship was impressive by conventional standards. Alspeter was built using technology that was thousands of years old. "Captain, we are receiving communications from the Council flagship," reported his communications officer. "They are demanding to know how we penetrated their defensive perimeter." Lee Minho smiled as he opened a channel to the alien ship. "Council vessel, this is Captain Lee of the Earth's defense ship Soul's Pride. We did not penetrate your defenses. We simply ignored them." The response came immediately from Supreme Chancellor Vexstar himself. "Human Captain, you will explain your technology immediately. No species develops weapons this advanced without Council knowledge and approval." "Your approval is not required," Lee replied calmly. "Humanity answers to no alien authority. We have come to deliver a message." More dark matter ships were appearing around the Council fleet. The Ancient's fury phased into reality next to a group of Council cruisers. The Daegu's vengeance materialized inside the formation of alien destroyers. Each human ship was positioned to cause maximum psychological impact on the alien crews. Dr. Lim Hyojin worked frantically at her station aboard the Ancient's fury monitoring the quantum containment systems. The dark matter technology was stable, but using it in combat created stresses that had never been tested before. Every time a ship phased from quantum foam into normal space, the exotic matter had to be carefully controlled to prevent a catastrophic explosion. "Captain, the quantum field generators are performing within acceptable parameters," she reported. To the ship's commander, "All dark matter containment fields are stable. We can maintain this formation indefinitely." Captain Yoon Jae-hyun had been transferred to the Gwangju's Shadow for this operation. His ship was smaller than the others, but it had been designed for a very specific purpose. The Shadow could phase completely inside enemy vessels and attack from within their own hulls. "Captain, we are in position," reported his tactical officer. "The Shadow is ready to demonstrate our capabilities." Yoon nodded and activated the ship's special systems. The Gwangju's Shadow began to fade from normal space, but instead of disappearing completely, it became translucent. Ship existed in a state between matter and energy that allowed it to pass through solid objects while remaining visible. "Council fleet, this is Captain Yoon of the Gwangju's Shadow. Observe what happens when you threaten humanity." The translucent ship moved toward the Council flagship and began to pass through its hull. The alien crew watched in terror as the human vessel phased through their armor plating and entered their ship's interior. The Shadow moved through compartments and corridors like a ghost ship from ancient legends. "Impossible," screamed Supreme Chancellor Vexstar. "Get that ship out of my vessel immediately. Fire all weapons. Destroy it before it can attack our vital systems." But the Council's weapons could not lock onto a target that existed in quantum superposition. Their energy beams passed through the shadow without causing any damage. The human ship continued to move through the flagship's interior while the alien crew panicked around it. "This is your final warning," Captain Yoon announced. "Withdraw your fleet from human space or face the consequences." The Shadow's weapons powered up while the ship remained inside the Council flagship. Quantum torpedoes formed in the launch tubes. These weapons could be fired while the ship was still phased, allowing them to materialize inside enemy vessels and detonate without warning. "You would not dare," Vextar replied, but his voice showed growing fear. "If you fire those weapons inside our ship, you will destroy us all." "That is correct," Yoon replied calmly. "Your shields cannot stop weapons that are fired from inside your own hull. Your armor cannot protect you from explosions that occur in your engine rooms. This is what happens when you underestimate humanity." The other human ships began to demonstrate their own capabilities. The Soul's Pride phased through a Council cruiser and fired exotic matter projectiles that caused the alien ship's hull to simply cease existing. The Ancient's Fury used its massive guns to fire quantum disruptor beams that could tear holes in space itself. "Our weapons are not designed to kill," Captain Lee announced to the Council fleet. "They are designed to unmake. We can erase your ships from existence, or we can convert their matter into pure energy. The choice is yours." The Council fleet tried to fight back, but their conventional weapons were useless against enemies that could phase in and out of reality. Plasma beams and quantum torpedoes passed harmlessly through the human ships when they were in quantum superposition. Energy shields meant nothing against weapons that could materialize inside the protected areas. Fleet. Admiral Zexon watched in horror as his ships were systematically destroyed or disabled by technology that seemed like magic. "Supreme Chancellor, we must withdraw. Our weapons cannot affect these vessels. Our shields cannot protect us. We are fighting an enemy that has mastered forces we do not understand." But Vextar's pride would not allow him to admit defeat. No species has ever forced the Council to retreat. "We have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We will not be defeated by primitive humans." "Then you will be destroyed by advanced humans," Captain Yoon replied from inside the flagship. "You have 60 seconds to order your fleet to withdraw. If you refuse, we will demonstrate why humanity should never be threatened." The countdown began, and every second felt like an eternity. The Council's most powerful fleet was helpless against human technology that treated the laws of physics as suggestions rather than absolute rules. Ships that could phase through matter. Weapons that could ignore any defense. Energy systems that drew power from the quantum foam itself. 50 seconds, announced Captain Yoon. 40 seconds. 30 seconds. Supreme Chancellor Vextar looked around his command chamber at officers who had never known defeat. His crystalline form was pulsing with colors that showed confusion and growing desperation. Everything he had believed about Council superiority was being destroyed by a species they had dismissed as primitive. 20 seconds? 10 seconds? 5 seconds? "Wait," Vextar finally screamed. "We withdraw. The Council fleet will withdraw from human space." The human ships remained in position as the alien fleet began to retreat. But everyone knew this was only the beginning. The Council would return with more ships and deadlier weapons. The real war was just starting, and humanity would need every advantage their dark matter technology could provide. "Message received and understood," Captain Lee announced. "But remember this day, Council. Remember what happens when you threaten the children of Earth. We will be watching." The dark matter ships began to fade back into quantum foam as the Council fleet limped away. The first major battle was over, but the war for humanity's freedom had only just begun. The news of the Council's defeat spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On 1,000 different worlds, alien species gathered around communication screens, watching the impossible recordings of human ships that could phase through, matter and weapons that made entire vessels simply vanish from existence. Ambassador Song Myung sat in the emergency session of the Galactic Assembly on the neutral world of Harmony Station. She was the only human representative among delegates. From 47 different species. Most of them had never seen a human before, and many had believed humanity was nothing more than a primitive curiosity from the outer rim of the galaxy. The recordings must be false, declared the Vrextai delegate. His blue-scaled face showed the confusion that most species felt when confronted with evidence that challenged everything they believed about galactic power structures. No species developed such advanced technology without council oversight. The humans have been in space for barely 2 centuries. Song Myung stood to address the assembly. Her calm demeanor hid the satisfaction she felt at seeing the aliens struggle to understand what humanity had accomplished. Honorable delegates, the recordings are completely accurate. The human species has developed quantum manipulation technology that allows us to defend ourselves against any aggressor. The Zektharan ambassador rose from his seat with obvious anger. His crystalline features resembled those of the Essel Council species, but his people had been enslaved by the Council for over 1,000 years. You speak of defense, but we saw your ships destroy Council vessels without warning. How do we know you will not use this technology to conquer the galaxy as the Council has done? Because unlike the Council, we do not seek to rule other species, Song replied firmly. Humanity offers partnership, not domination. We seek allies, not slaves. But even as she spoke the words, news was arriving of more human victories across the galaxy. The dark matter fleet had divided into hunting groups and was pursuing the retreating Council forces through 3 different star systems. Each engagement demonstrated humanity's overwhelming technological advantage, Captain. Judong Haiyan commanded the pursuit fleet that followed the Council's northern battle group. His ship, the Olsen's Thunder, had been tracking the aliens for 6 days as they fled deeper into Council territory. The enemy ships were faster than conventional human vessels, but the dark matter drives could manipulate space itself to achieve impossible speeds. Captain, the alien fleet has stopped running, reported his navigation officer. They are taking defensive positions around the fortress world of Keximar. Long-range sensors show massive orbital defense platforms and hundreds of additional ships joining their formation. Rue studied the tactical display with interest. Kexmar was one of the Council's most heavily defended worlds. Its orbital fortresses mounted weapons that could destroy entire fleets. The planet's surface was covered with shield generators that could protect the world from any conventional attack. How many ships are we facing? He asked his tactical officer. Over 300 vessels, Captain. Plus the orbital defenses. They have enough firepower to sterilize a dozen worlds. Rue smiled at the challenge, signaled the fleet. Tell all ships to prepare for quantum combat. We are going to show the galaxy that even the Council's strongest fortresses cannot stand against humanity. The human pursuit fleet consisted of only 12 dark matter ships, but each vessel carried enough exotic weaponry to challenge an entire alien armada. The Olsen's Thunder led the formation as they approached the heavily defended system. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the Council, Fortress announced the communications officer. They are offering to negotiate. Put it through, Rue ordered. The voice that came through the speakers belonged to Fortress Commander Kexanol. Human ships, you're outnumbered 30-1. Our defenses have never been breached. Withdraw now, and we will allow you to leave with your lives. Rue's response was broadcast to every ship in the system. Council forces, you have participated in attacks on human civilians. You have supported a regime of galactic tyranny. There will be no negotiations. There will be no mercy. The battle began when the Council fortress opened fire with weapons that could crack planets. Massive energy beams lanced across space toward the human fleet. But the dark matter ships simply phased out of normal space, allowing the attacks to pass harmlessly through empty quantum foam. All ships begin attack. Pattern Omega Rue commanded. Target the orbital fortresses first. Show them what happens when they threaten humanity. The 12 human ships split into pairs and began their assault. Each pair targeted a different fortress using tactics that were impossible for conventional vessels. The ships would phase into normal space directly next to their target's fire. Quantum torpedoes, and then disappear back into the quantum foam before return fire could reach them. The first fortress exploded in a brilliant flash of light as exotic matter weapons tore apart its quantum structure. The second fortress simply vanished as its matter was converted directly into energy. The third fortress began to fade from existence. As dark matter projection beams unraveled the bonds that held its atoms together, Possible, screamed Fortress Commander Kexanal. Our shields are at maximum power. Our armor is made from quantum-reinforced metals. How are your weapons penetrating our defenses? Your shields protect against energy, Captain, Rue explained calmly. Your armor stops conventional matter. But our weapons exist in quantum superposition. They choose when and how to interact with normal matter. Your defenses are useless against technology that can rewrite the laws of physics. The Council fleet tried to protect the remaining fortresses, but their conventional tactics were hopeless. Against enemies that could appear anywhere at any time. The human ships phased through the alien formation, striking from inside their defensive perimeter and disappearing before the aliens could respond. One by one, the massive orbital fortresses were destroyed or disabled. Each fortress had taken decades to build and contained weapons that represented the pinnacle of Council technology. But they were reduced to scrap metal or quantum energy in minutes by human weapons that treated their defenses as minor inconveniences. Sir, the planetary shields are still active, reported the tactical officer. The surface installations are trying to target our ships. Rue studied the readings from the planet below. Kexmar was home to billions of alien civilians who had no part in the Council's war against humanity. The dark matter weapons could punch through the planetary shields easily, but doing so would cause massive casualties among innocent people. Signal the planet, he ordered. Tell them we have no quarrel with civilian populations. If they surrender the military installations, we will spare their cities. The response came within minutes. The planetary governor was willing to surrender, but the military commanders refused to give up. They activated the planet's ultimate defense system, a massive shield generator that could protect the entire world from any attack. Captain, the planetary shield is unlike anything we have encountered before, reported the science officer. It exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Our quantum weapons may not be able to penetrate it. Rue nodded thoughtfully. This was the first defense system they had encountered that might actually stop human weapons. Very well. If they want to hide behind their shield, they can stay there forever. Signal the fleet. We are establishing a quantum blockade around this system. The 12 human ships positioned themselves at key points around the star system and began to manipulate space itself. They created quantum barriers that prevented any ship from entering or leaving the system. Council forces were trapped in a prison made of twisted space-time, says Captain Rue to all Council forces in this system. You are now under quantum siege. No ship can enter or leave. No communication can reach the outside galaxy. You can surrender immediately, or you can starve in isolation while the rest of your empire falls to human forces. The Siege of Kexamar became famous throughout the galaxy as the first time in 10,000 years that a Council fortress world had been completely cut off from the rest of their empire. Other species began to understand that humanity possessed technology that could challenge the fundamental structure of galactic civilization. Secret messages began arriving at human embassies from dozens of oppressed worlds. Species that had been enslaved by the Council for centuries were offering to join humanity in their war against the galactic tyrants. The rebellion that had started with a few human ships was growing into a galaxy-wide revolution. Captain, we are receiving transmission from Earth, announced the communications officer. Admiral Kang wants a full report on our progress. Rue activated the quantum communication system that allowed instant contact across any distance. Admiral, this is Captain Rue reporting from the Kexmar system. The Council's northern battle group has been neutralized. Their fortress world is under quantum siege. We are ready to proceed to the next target. Admiral Kong's voice carried satisfaction and determination. Excellent work, Captain. Intelligence reports indicate that over 20 species have declared independence from the Council in the past week. Our victory at Kexamar will inspire even more worlds to join our cause. The galactic balance of power was shifting faster than anyone had believed possible. The Council's empire was built on fear and overwhelming force. But when that force proved ineffective against human technology, their entire system of control began to collapse. The war was far from over, but humanity had already achieved something no species had managed in 10 millennia. They had broken the Yi Council's aura of invincibility and shown the galaxy that the ancient tyrants could be defeated. The final battle for the galaxy began at dawn over Nexus Prime, the ancient capital world of the Galactic Council. The planet hung in space like a jewel surrounded by defensive installations that had protected the Council's seat of power for 10,000 years. Massive space stations orbited the world in perfect formation. Each station bristled with weapons that had never been defeated in battle. Admiral Beak Sang-Woo commanded the human assault fleet from the bridge of the flagship Terra's Vengeance. 50 dark matter warships had gathered for this final confrontation. Every vessel in humanity's secret fleet was present for the battle that would decide the future of galactic civilization. Admiral, all ships report ready for quantum combat, announced his tactical officer. The Council's entire remaining fleet is positioned around Nexus Prime, over 1,000 vessels including their most advanced dreadnoughts. Beak studied the tactical display that showed the massive alien formation. The Council had recalled every ship from across their empire for this last desperate stand. Their fleet included vessels from dozens of different species, all united in their determination to preserve the old order of galactic rule. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the Council's Supreme Chamber," reported the communications officer. "Supreme Chancellor Vexstar wishes to speak with you directly." "Put him through," Beak ordered. The familiar voice of the Council's leader filled the bridge. But now it carried desperation instead of the arrogance they had heard during humanity's first contact. "Human Admiral, I offer you one final chance to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Withdraw your fleet, and we will negotiate a peace agreement that grants humanity equal status within the Council structure." Admiral Beak's response was calm but implacable. "There will be no negotiations with tyrants. There will be no peace with enslavers. The age of Council rule is ending today." "You are making a terrible mistake," Vexstar replied with growing anger. "We have ruled this galaxy since before your species discovered fire. Our combined fleets represent the accumulated military might of 100 civilizations. You cannot defeat us all." "We have already defeated you," Beak pointed out. "Your empire is in rebellion. Your fortress worlds are under siege. Your fleets flee before our ships. This final battle is merely a formality." The truth of these words was evident throughout the galaxy. Over 50 species had declared independence from the Council in the past month. Entire sectors had joined the Human Alliance. The Council's empire was collapsing faster than anyone had believed possible. Captain Jung Dejin commanded the dark matter vessel Soul's Fury, which had been chosen to deliver the final ultimatum to the Council leadership. Her ship was smaller than the flagship, but it carried special quantum communication equipment that could broadcast to every vessel in the system simultaneously. "Captain, we are in position," reported her navigation officer. "All systems are ready." For the final phase of the operation, Shung activated the ship's quantum broadcasting array. Her voice would be heard by every alien crew member in the massive Council fleet. "Warriors of the galaxy, you have served masters who rule through fear and oppression. Today you have a choice. Surrender now and join the new Galactic Alliance. As equals, continue to fight and face the consequences of supporting tyranny." The response was immediate and shocking. Throughout the Council fleet, individual ships began to signal their surrender. Captains who had served the Council for decades chose freedom over continued enslavement. Entire squadrons broke formation and moved away from the battle zone. "What is happening?" Supreme Chancellor Vexstar screamed over the communication channels. "All ships return to formation immediately. Anyone who surrenders will be executed for treason." But his threats carried no weight anymore. Council's power had been built on their reputation for invincibility. Once that reputation was broken, their ability to command loyalty through fear disappeared as well. Within an hour, the Council's 1,000-ship fleet had been reduced to less than 200 vessels. These were the ships crewed by the most fanatical supporters of the old order. Species that had benefited from the Council's rule and would fight to preserve their privileged positions. "Admiral, the remaining Council ships are taking defensive positions around Nexus Prime," reported the tactical officer. "They appear to be activating the planet's ultimate defense system." Through the viewing windows of the Terra's Vengeance, they could see the planet beginning to glow with an eerie light. Ancient technologies that had been dormant for millennia were coming online. Nexus Prime had defenses that predated most galactic civilizations. Sir, the planetary shield is unlike anything we have encountered, reported Dr. Park Hee-jin from her science station. It exists in 17 different dimensions simultaneously. The energy readings are off our scales. Admiral Beak nodded grimly. The Council's final gambit was to activate defenses that had been built by their predecessors. Technology so advanced that even the current Council leadership did not fully understand how they worked. Signal all ships, he ordered. Begin quantum phase bombardment. If conventional dark matter weapons cannot penetrate their shield, we will try exotic approaches. The human fleet spread out around Nexus Prime and began an attack unlike anything that had ever been attempted before. Instead of firing weapons that existed in normal space, the dark matter ships began to manipulate the quantum structure of reality itself. They created probability cascades that made the planet's defenses randomly fail. They generated temporal anomalies that caused the shield generators to age thousands of years in seconds. They manipulated the fundamental constants of physics to make the planetary shield simply cease to function. Impossible. Vexstar's voice was filled with terror as he watched his ultimate defenses crumble before attacks that violated every known law of science. Those technologies are forbidden. They could destroy the entire star system. Then surrender now and save your people, Admiral Beak replied. We have no desire to harm civilians, but we will not allow your regime to continue. The final phase of the battle began when the human ships phased through Nexus Prime's failing defenses and appeared directly above the Council's government complex. The Terra's vengeance materialized in the sky over the Supreme Chamber. Like an angel of judgment, Captain Jung brought her ship, the Souls Fury, down through the planet's atmosphere until it hovered just above the spires of the Council building. The dark matter vessel's presence created gravitational anomalies that made the ancient structure tremble. Supreme Chancellor Vexstar, this is your final warning, she announced. Surrender immediately or face total annihilation. The response came not from Vexstar, but from his military commanders, who had finally realized that continued resistance was hopeless. Human vessels, this is Fleet Admiral Kex Hari speaking for the Council Defense Force. We surrender unconditionally. We request mercy for our civilian populations. The formal surrender ceremony took place in the Council's Great Assembly Hall. Supreme Chancellor Vexstar was forced to sign the documents that officially ended 10,000 years of Council rule. His crystalline form had lost its brilliant glow, and now appeared dull and lifeless. By this agreement, the Galactic Council relinquishes all claim to authority over the free species of this galaxy. Admiral Beak read from the surrender document. All Council military forces will be disbanded. All enslaved species will be granted immediate independence. The ceremony was broadcast throughout the galaxy, allowing billions of beings to witness the end of the old order. On 1,000 worlds, formerly enslaved species celebrated their freedom, while their former masters struggled to accept their new reality. 6 months later, the new Galactic Alliance held its first assembly on the neutral world of Harmony Station. Representatives from over 200 species gathered to establish a government based on voluntary cooperation rather than forced submission. Ambassador Song Myung addressed the assembly as the elected spokesperson for the alliance. Hello. Beings, we gather here not as conquerors and conquered, but as partners in building a better galaxy. The age of tyranny is over. The age of freedom has begun. The dark matter fleet continued to patrol the galaxy, but now they served as protectors rather than conquerors. Human technology remained the most advanced in the galaxy, but it was slowly being shared with allied species who could be trusted to use it responsibly. Dr. Park Hee-jin established research institutes on dozens of worlds where human and alien. Scientists worked together to push the boundaries of quantum physics even further. The technologies that had won the war against the Council were now being used to explore the deepest mysteries of the universe. Captain Lee Minho stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride as it patrolled the former Council territories. His sensors, he could see peaceful trade ships moving freely between worlds that had once been separated by the barriers of enforced isolation. Captain, we are receiving a distress signal from the Andorian sector, reported his communications officer. A group of pirates is attacking civilian transports. Lee smiled as he gave the familiar order. Set course for the Andorian sector. Maximum quantum speed. Show these pirates what happens when they threaten innocent beings. The Soul's Pride phased into quantum foam and disappeared from normal space. Seconds later, it emerged near the battle zone, where primitive pirates with conventional